Hello, Aries. Welcome to your eclipse season bonus reading. We're going to look at what this eclipse season might be bringing in for you. I'm going to pull a couple of oracle cards here, and then we are going to do a Celtic cross here, see what's been going on and what might be coming up for you in relation to eclipse season. Now, for those of you that are interested, eclipse season, this part of the year, we already had eclipses back in like May, June, July, and now we are having another eclipse season come in, and it's going to last from November through to the very beginning of January 2022. Now, down below in the description box, you can look at the dates of each of the lunations, and then I will put the house that it relates to in your chart. So for you, Aries, this is really going to focus in on your resources, your work, because the first eclipse we're having is in Taurus. And so it's an ending of some kind, some sort of closing out of a part of your life that may impact your day-to-day work, your resources, and your overall career. You may already know that this is coming up for you. And then the solar eclipse that's happening in the sign of Sagittarius, I'm going to get a new candle there, is happening in Sagittarius, is more going to have an impact on kind of like your social life as well as your overall beliefs. You're kind of stepping into a new path perhaps here. But I'll put all those details down below for those of you that are actually interested in tracking this in your own natal chart. I would recommend that you do that for your rising sign. I'll also put a link down below of how you can find your rising sign if you don't already know how to do that. So this reading will be for Aries sun and rising. So let's go ahead and get into it. But don't forget to look down below in the description box if you're interested in all those dates. So you can kind of pay attention to the timing and when things come up for you. Now, eclipses tend to impact the following 6 months of your life at least. So it may not happen on the date of the eclipse. You may just start to see the changes start to unfold starting around that time. Now I'm going to go ahead and get your Celtic cross laid out, and then we'll talk about what the oracle cards there mean. So it does look like you've got some sort of new path, new beginning coming in here. Should you choose to take the plunge. Now, with eclipses, it can kind of go one of both ways. It can either be like a forced, fated kind of energy, or there could be something that comes in that's an opportunity for you to make a change in your life. And should you choose not to take it, you may find that you repeat something from the past as a means of learning more about what you've already experienced. So keep that in mind. It can kind of go one of both ways. So let's see what's going on for Aries for eclipse season, November through January 2021 into 2022. I'll get everything laid out, and then we will clarify and try and get some additional detail here. Oh, I'm liking this. Okay. Okay. So some sort of soul calling I do feel like here with the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Something that's kind of deeper in your emotional world could certainly be dealing with a Scorpio or a water sign here, Aries. But we'll kind of see how that comes into play for you during the reading. Now, in your oracle cards, we have many paths, which is number 34. And then we also have the Andean cross. So I'm going to really briefly tell you what those mean, and then we will see how they come into play in your reading itself. So, many paths. So clearly it could be a crossroads situation coming up for you. Your call now is to take a big, bold step and leave the beaten path. Heaven and earth are conspiring on your behalf to support you in this move. Do not dally lest you miss the moment. It's time to sail into the uncharted. Be sure you attend to both your path through this earth as well as your journey through the stars. And it does kind of talking about choosing the path of the heart, right? Which is all about the King of Cups here, choosing something that really calls to your soul. Now this Andean cross is somewhat similar actually, in that it's the start to a great journey. It's time to raise your gaze from the mundane day-to-day to that which until now has seemed beyond your grasp. Allow new wisdom to guide you and stop trying to make sense of it all before you respond with a resounding yes. So I'm actually kind of surprised we don't have the Fool card on the board here, because it does feel like Aries, and that is your card, you're going to be kind of pushed into a brand new beginning, one that you might need to take a leap of faith on because you won't see what it's going to do on the other side. But it talks about how the cross itself, it's like we have north, south, east, and west. And then the center being a cutout there, like a hole cut out in the middle, is kind of like the eye of the needle, kind of taking the chance to walk through almost a portal here. It says the center is a gateway to interdimensional travel, the proverbial eye of the needle we can all go through to experience higher states of awareness and wisdom and break free of linear time. So again, I do feel like there's something coming in regarding your work, day-to-day work, career, potentially here, potentially a new career path, and then on a kind of a higher wisdom gaining kind of path with that Sagittarius eclipse there, because it is impacting your 9th house and is trine to your 5th and your 1st house, which is Aries. And so the way you see the world may shift as well here. So let's see what we've got going on here, and we will get some clarification. So your center card here is the King of Pentacles, which to me would certainly represent career, work here. This could also be a boss that you work for. We have some Taurus energy here, which is for the first eclipse that comes in on, I believe it's the 19th of November. And I do feel like, just looking at things as they are, you're having to make a judgment call when it comes to your work situation. And that is the challenge here. It's showing up in the challenge position because you can either choose something from the past, right? Or you can go towards what's calling to your soul. You can see how, I believe it's Gabriel is calling these souls up from the dead to bring them home. And so there could be a soul calling that is kind of trying to reach to you. And call you forward, but it's going to require you to relinquish something from the past. And it could feel like it's requiring you to release something that feels very stable, that is abundant already, right? With that King of Pentacles, that can be an old job, a boss, a workplace, or even a business that you've been running on your own that has stability, it has long-term potential, and it looks like you may be being called to something a little bit different here, something more in line with your heart space. Now in the deep past, we have the Four of Swords, so could have been something that you've already been contemplating for some time. Could also have been some deep healing in the deep past here. Now in the recent past, there's a little bit of confusion going on. Like, okay, I have all these choices. I have many paths that I can choose from here. What am I going to do? What choice am I going to make? Now, in the potential position, or what's on your mind, we have Temperance. So I do feel like you're trying to kind of take your time, have some patience, right? And perhaps integrate some things that you might be learning at this time. But to me, this feels more related to that Sagittarius eclipse there. So it's kind of like the two happening at once here. We have Sagittarius and Taurus showing up in your eclipse reading, and that is where the lunar and solar eclipses are taking place in your chart. Now in the future position, we have some stress. So we'll see what that is about. But I'm also seeing that you're really being called to start new here and follow that intuition. And I do feel like your intuition is going to pay off here. That whatever that soul calling is really going to be of benefit. So let's see if we can narrow down the story and get some clarification here for you on what might be going on with this eclipse season. Alright. So with the King of Pentacles, we're getting the Knight of Swords and the Six of Wands. And so to me, I feel like you've had a lot of success in whatever career you have been pursuing long term here. I do feel like you're recognized pretty strongly by others as being a successful business person, whether that means you have a business or you are just a longer term employee. But I do feel like we have some communication that comes into you. It could be an offer of some kind that kind of happens fast. Kind of maybe even out of the blue, seemingly. And I do feel like that comes in, and that could shake things up for you a bit, because then we get into this kind of conflicted judgment call here of whether you stick with what you know or you take a new path forward here. So let's look at judgment. We have the Six of Cups, which to me could be that that soul calling, that thing that perhaps you've even wanted to do since you were a kid. Like if you had a dream job when you were a child, or something that when you were young was something you were just naturally drawn to. We also have the Nine of Pentacles. So this could mean actually starting your own business here if you don't already have your own business. We do have some Virgo, Scorpio energy showing up there. And I do feel like it could be a difficult decision here based on what's going on at the heart of the matter, which is your current stability. And then incoming is like this old soul calling. It's like it comes back and wants you to follow your heart now, right? Now in the deep past we have the Four of Swords. Why do we have the Four of Swords in the deep past? We have the Three of Cups. I do feel like you've maybe spent some time thinking about and really kind of reflecting on your own happiness and what really brings you emotional fulfillment here. Yeah, and what your destiny truly is. It's like we can get into this space of stability. We can accomplish abundance, and then we get there and we still feel like there's something not quite right, right? There's something missing, and you may have picked up on that. You may have been reflecting on some sort of destiny that speaks to your soul. Now, in the recent past position, we have the Seven of Cups, and it does feel like this feeling of needing to choose what path to go on here. With the Seven of Cups, we get the Hanged Man, trying to gain some clarity on what it is that you want. The Seven of Cups can kind of be a lot of confusion, right? Because there's so many choices, we don't know what to choose, right? So I do feel like in the past you've been attempting to really take a look at things and gain some clarity. We had a card pop over there on what to work on with the Eight of Pentacles. May have even been exploring the possibility of some higher learning with that Sagittarius there, eclipse happening. It may require that you take some online courses, go back to school, you know, kind of go back into college or university, however you want to call that, and educate yourself further here. And then I do feel like that is playing into your considerations here. Now, in the potential position, we've got this Temperance. So trying to take your time, make a careful choice here, kind of integrate, and even feeling like perhaps there's been a shift in your own perspective, right? You know, when your first house, Aries, is being activated, that's how people see you and how you see the world. And when that shifts, everything changes, right? So let's see what's going on with Temperance. Okay. Judgment tried to pop out there twice, so here it is. What's the soul calling? Really kind of trying to think about that deeper longing that you have and whether or not to start a business. With the Emperor here, you know, thinking about, okay, do I take control? Do I start my own business? So the conflict here, the challenge here is what's on your mind. And really trying to think about it. I think there's a lot of pondering going on here. Almost perhaps too far, right? Too much thinking. And that Andean cross did say that. Don't think about it so long that you're hoping for the right answer, because you might miss the opportunity. You know, make a educated decision, obviously. Take a calculated risk here, but we might have a situation where we're thinking too much about it. So with the Nine of Swords, what else do we have here? The Devil. So Capricorn, certainly related to work, right? But I do feel like your fears are maybe coming up here in the near future position. And the Lovers, it's this choice. It's like, you can see that the Lovers actually present themselves on both cards here. And we either have the Devil kind of lording over them, or we have this angel here. And so it's kind of like this decision. And perhaps the fears that are coming up is, you know, the commitment of making this decision about your work situation, choosing this new path. Is it going to be something that is in line with your higher self? Is it going to be something that you choose? Or is it going to be a situation where you get stuck with something that you didn't want, right? So I do feel like that's some of the fears that are coming up for you here. Now, your advice to yourself, this is you here in this position, the Magician. So you are clearly capable of manifesting what it is that you want here, so long as you can choose what you want. We have the Four of Cups. And the Sun. So it's kind of interesting because you can see on this Four of Cups, he's not really recognizing that cup. And I think what you may need to recognize, or the advice that you need to give yourself here, is that you're able to actually create your own happiness. And it could show up. I just don't think you're recognizing that at this point, that you have the ability to manifest something like, I mean, this is the most positive card in the deck, right? So what's going on in the environment at this time? We have the Ace of Pentacles, so clearly a new beginning here, a solid new beginning. We have the Six of Pentacles, something balanced and abundant as well. And the Two of Wands. Could actually be presented with something here from someone, a new potential opportunity here. Could be something that comes in on, you know, kind of over the internet. It could be like more international business here. Yeah, with the King of Swords, that's very international energy there. I do feel like you receive some kind of communication of from somebody in leadership. Could certainly be an air sign. Not that you would know that unless you said, hey, what's your sign? But somebody who, the King of Swords is someone who is, you know, very wise. They think before they take action. And I do feel like this is a choice you will have to think about. But I do think you get some sort of offer here. Something that may actually pay more than what you've been doing. Now, your hopes and fears is the Ace of Cups. So you're definitely wanting something that is emotionally fulfilling. What else do we get here? We have the Five of Wands. Could be a bit of fear of competition. It could be that the thing that you've always wanted to do is kind of a higher profile position, or like if you were to start your own business here, are you going into a field that's very competitive? And that could be something that you're worried about. Yeah. And we have the Two of Swords. So could feel like you're just a bit stuck, you know. To me, that's more of this fear energy here. And it is showing up in your hopes and fears. I think the decision itself is terrifying on some level here. Now, the outcome, we have the High Priestess. So there's that intuitive energy. But what also is interesting is the High Priestess keeps things hidden. So it could very well feel, and I imagine it will, that the outcome is unknown, right? It's mystery. So what else can we get here with the High Priestess in the outcome? It doesn't want to tell me. We get the High Priestess again. Come on now. Anything else for the Aries watching? The Page of Swords. Could certainly be some communication coming in that you don't see coming. It could even be from a Pisces here. What else? Oh, Death card. Scorpio energy. Whoops. Oh, okay. Okay. So I do feel like this mental stuckness that you've clearly been in, kind of worrying about this, really thinking about it, I think you kind of get out of that. I do feel like you've got a couple of offers coming in here. More than one even. So I do feel like it's going to put an end to this lack of knowing, really having a solid answer on something. I think as these offers come in, and it looks like you have a few here with this King of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, which, with that being an Ace of Pentacles, is a very solid, abundant offer. But it looks like what you're hoping for here is something more emotionally fulfilling. And we do have the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords there coming in. So I do feel like there's at least a couple of things showing up that you will be able to choose from, so long as you're able to make the choice. Remember, as this shows up, follow your heart. And the guidance is, don't think about it so long that you miss the opportunity. Don't get stuck in mental torture over what the right choice is, right? Ask your intuition. Ask your heart space. And it will give you the answer that you need. So I hope that was helpful. You'll have to see how this plays out now over the next couple of months leading into 2022. But you may start to see some of the stuff already popping up here, because it does look like you've already been contemplating your destiny here in this deep past position. So it's already something that's been kind of starting to play out in your mind. So I will see you in the next reading, Aries. And thanks for joining me. Bye.